Welcome to the Real Build podcast. I'm Tommy, and I'm here with two guys you're going to hear from a lot, Devin and Tyler. We're three friends navigating life, work, change, and everything in between.
This show is about being real life, real pivots, real rebuilds. We've all taken different paths, and this podcast is a place where we talk about the process, the struggles, and the moments where things shift.
This podcast is about breaking routines, testing ideas, and living stories worth telling. We're not experts. We're just three guys figuring things out, and we're inviting you to figure it out with us.
All right. Well, so we have McKinley. McKinley, what's your last name?
Murray.
Yep. Murray Macros.
What's your maiden name?
Johnson.
All right.
Perfect. So McKinley Murray Johnson, or Johnson Murray. I don't know how that goes. She was gracious enough to come out and be on the podcast, and we're going to learn everything about her. She's super excited.
I am excited. I am. I just don't know what you're going to want me to talk about.
Everything, just let it go.
What do you know about Joseph Smith?
Not a lot. No.
Seriously, Devin is like the gospel doctrine teacher here, but
Yeah, I'll knock that off.
that's pretty funny.
We won't go there. Let's not go there.
I couldn't really go
Unless you want to get real crazy.
I'm good.
Tyler's like, I don't know, Joe.
I don't know that guy.
Do you not?
No, it's just another name to me.
Tommy, I'm going to pass that one over to you.
Yeah, good old Joe.
Old Joseph. Okay, cool.
We're not spiritual on this podcast.
Maybe
I feel
we
like
are
Devin
secretly.
references scriptures all the time.
He actually does.
More
He
than
did that, and then he
anybody
pulled
I
off
know.
some serious names
Weird.
out of it, and I was like, how?
Like biblical, like
For real good names.
in the Bible, not like, and not like, I don't even know, like Peter, James, and John or whatever. Like nothing like that. It was like some
Stories to
yeah.
share.
Okay, so you're Murray Macros. Give us a little background on your when you grew up, high school. Were you athletic, sports? Tell me a little bit about how you started Murray Macros, but start back in high school. Was it always a passion for health, or was it always sports oriented, or
Yeah, good question. I feel like the start of Murray Macros, it came from a lot of different things. Like the starting point itself was back in 2021 in December. I had like an 18-month-old baby and just like really was trying to find myself and what I valued and what made me feel like me outside of being a mom. But back in high school, yeah, I come from a family of 6, the youngest of 6, and we've always been like an athletic sport family. We all played sports growing up and I don't know, did activities as a family outdoors. And I wouldn't say that we were really health conscious as we were just like active. My mom passed away when I was little. So my dad raised me from the time I was 9 on. And I wouldn't say that he knows much about nutrition at all. He fed us well. For a single dad, he fed us really well. He cooked us breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And looking back, it was a lot better food than I think most kids got. We didn't have cereal for breakfast. We had breakfast burritos and egg McMuffins and some good stuff. But even to this day, he really doesn't understand like, the concept of macros or protein or health when it comes to food. But yeah, I don't know. As I guess a female in high school, I always cared about being more fit or healthier. I took a weightlifting class in high school, and I think that was the first time I was exposed to someone talking about like what you eat is what impacts like how you feel, how you look, putting on muscle. I do feel like even in high school though, it wasn't trendy or cool to have muscle as a female, I feel like maybe it is now. But I left school. I was never like really overweight or anything. I always was like a thicker build, but I was always athletic. And then I served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Australia for 18 months and gained like 60 pounds because I was fed by a lot of Polynesians. And when you're knocking on people's doors in a place like Australia, they're always offering you food, whether or not they want to hear your message, they want to offer you juice or food. I served in mostly Tongan and Samoan wards, so it was a lot of socializing around food. So gained a ton of weight on my mission, and then coming home, I just remember feeling like I want to get fit. I want to get, skinny again and started running. That was I wasn't really comfortable in a gym by myself, even though I had weightlifted before. So I did a lot of running. For years, I did like half and full marathons and just kind of found my passion for that. And still didn't know a ton about food. But then after my husband and I got married, a good friend of mine introduced me to macro counting just from Instagram and stuff that she had seen on Instagram. And I went from running and being, I would say, like more skinny fat, like having a higher body fat, but maybe a little bit lower of a body weight for my age, that to CrossFit and starting to count macros, and my composition like drastically changed like so quick. It was like 3 months. And people just kind of started asking questions because, at that time I was still posting on social media, just what I was doing. And I've always been pretty active on social media. So when people started reaching out, I was like, man, I kind of like that I can like talk to people about this. I'm passionate about it. I really enjoy it. And then after I had my first baby, I, as any mom does, gained a bunch of weight and felt really uncomfortable just, I guess, in my body. But I also was struggling a lot with like postpartum depression and anxiety. I had a really colicky baby. My husband got no time off of work. We lived in Arizona. He was born in June of 2020, so in the middle of COVID. And we had no family there. We had just moved there. So we hadn't been to church. We had no connections. We hadn't been to the gym. We knew nobody. And so it was a really lonely time for me. We couldn't really leave the house. We couldn't really even go outside because he was a newborn and it was like 120 degrees the day that he was born. So I felt pretty emotionally trapped, physically trapped. I didn't realize I'd ever want an outlet outside of motherhood, but I have always struggled with control in my life. So like I don't know, I like having control. So after he was born, I did everything I could to like find ways to like gain back control. So like I was really rigid with his bedtime routine or his schedule or his naps or wake windows, all the things that you can do with a baby. And I always wanted like it was hard for me to give over control to my husband to like let him do anything. Like if he changed a diaper, I was like, you're not doing it right. I was just finding like outlets to control because I think I was feeling really sad inside, not like myself. And like I didn't have a passion or whatever. And so naturally I like started exercising again just because I didn't feel good in my skin and kind of went back to macro counting. And it was like a year that had passed where I like felt like I was feeling good in my skin and confident and I was posting about it. And this is when people started reaching back out, like, what is it that you're doing? A lot of my friends were also having babies. And so they were going through similar stuff. Like, I don't feel good in my skin, but I can't find the time. Like, how are you doing this? And so that's kind of where it started, was just I wanted something that made me feel like me, that made me feel like I was maybe doing something outside of motherhood, but then I was also helping other people. So 18 months, when my son was 18 months, so in December of 2021, was like the very first time I told my husband, like, I want to go back to the computer room and to his office, and I want to like start something. I want to do something where I can like help other people find like the joy and the confidence that I found through nutrition. And that day is where that's where Marie Macros was born. So that's kind of where, yeah, it's kind of a little history on where it got started.
That's a lot to unpack in 14
Sorry.
seconds.
Sorry.
Can you redo that story? I forgot to hit record. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
That's super cool. So, I mean, again, there's a lot. I mean, we have like 15 hours to get this out of you. But I want to go back to the control thing. This is what I want to know, why you think you're controlling. Like, where do you think that comes from?
Honestly, I think childhood trauma, like losing my mom, I was kind of put in charge. Like, so when I was 9 is when my mom passed away and 2 of my siblings were already out of the house. So then there was 4 of us home and I had a single dad who worked 2 jobs, a day job and a night job. He had to drop his night job obviously to be home with kids, but we just had to figure out things on our own. And I also think trying to control the things that I could control made me feel like I feel like losing a family member is so out of your control that it like impacts the way that you view trying to control things. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it stems from feeling like a lot of things happened to me as a child out of my control, losing my mom, losing my brother, just the way that our family dynamic had to change, things that I had to pick up on, that I was like forced into to pick up on around the house or whatever. So sometimes I feel safer if I'm in control.
So it's like a nice security blanket.
Yeah.
When you said you were 9 when you lost your mom. I mean, you don't have to answer this, but how did she pass?
Yeah. So her and my brother both, years apart, were both in car accidents.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. So we were in Utah visiting family at the time when it all happened. So, I mean, I was also so young. I don't remember a lot about the day or the event. Like I have little blips of memory of things that happened, but I don't remember a ton of. I try to block a lot of it out.
I mean, I think the brain does that
Yeah.
automatically as I like dive more into like figuring out what brains do.
Help me out.
I'm just learning, dog, but I wondered that too, like if the control thing came from that, right? Like it is out of your control, right? Life and death. It's just something that's going to happen to all of us, which sucks, but you can't control it. I mean, but to an extent, like if you're able to age, you can, like hopefully staying strong and eating healthy and doing things like routine and being disciplined. So I wonder if that's where like the control thing stem from.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely possible. I think taking care of myself helps me feel like I'm going to be around for my kids, even though that wasn't like how they passed wasn't in their control.
Yeah. That's hard, dude. The yeah, what do you remember?
I thought we were talking about Murray Macro.
Yeah, dude, and this is where it started.
It
Maybe
went-
mom's the one up there planting it, right?
Yeah.
Blasting them.
Like, remember what? About,
You were 9.
This is
Seven.
deep.
You were 9 years old?
yeah. Yeah, it was 9 days after my 9th birthday with my mom's.
You don't have to.
No, I mean, I don't remember a lot. I just have, yeah, maybe I won't actually. I don't, or maybe later in the podcast.
We'll get
but-
there later. So, okay, follow-up question. When this happened, did this bring your family like closer together?
Yeah. And I feel really lucky for that because I mean, we've come across a lot of families now that have lost a child or lost a parent. And like the way that the kids in the family or the parents coped was really unhealthy. I mean, we've just been exposed to it more, I think, because we've gone through it. So then we connect with families that have gone through it. But I mean, I give like all the glory to my dad. He just pulled us together and we turned to each other rather than like anything else. Of course, like I had 2 teenage sisters at the time who went like a little more wild. They, did things they probably wouldn't have or shouldn't have. But in general, I would say, yeah, we got really, really close because of it. And not even because we like bonded over, like, we never talked about it.
Really?
And maybe that's really unhealthy, but I really can't tell you that like a time that we've just like sat and talked about them or like we all kind of coped differently. So it was hard to find like a ground where we felt like we were coping together because we coped differently, but we felt really tight knit. Like our family became very like, if you're not in our family, sorry. Like we've got each other's backs no matter what. So yeah. And we're all still really, really close.
That's cool.
I remember seeing on your stories too, like your brother that passed away. You said he had a really close connection to your mom.
Yeah, just like as a little boy, he was like a mama's boy. So there's like this story of my grandma, so my mom's mom. She was visiting and my mom was like so touched out. I'm sure like Jordan has said things, but like as a mom, you get really touched out, like your kid, they're just on you all day long. And I remember my grandma saying like, yeah, your mom told me like, watch, I can't even walk across the kitchen or like the living room without Tucker like running over and like touching me or grabbing me or hugging me. And she walks right across and here he comes running and just like wraps his arms around her and tells her that he loves her. But that was like they had like the strongest connection I think of any of us. And so when he passed, it was really obviously, it was really sad, but it was like this very like, if anybody gets to go first, it's him. If anybody gets extra time with her, it's him. So that was comforting, knowing that, like, she now had him and he had her there waiting, and, of course, like, we believe in an afterlife, so, yeah, that was just really really special that I mean, I don't know, of any of us that it got to be him.
How old were you when he passed away?
14.
9 and 14.
Yeah.
That's rough, dude.
Yeah, and we were, like, best friends, like, we were dating each other's friends and, going places together. We, like, were at the same high school, and so that was really hard too because as an adult now, I have kids of my own, and I can see them growing up. I'm realizing a lot of his friends were grieving too, and I never really let them talk about him or share their memories of him because I didn't I felt like if I didn't talk about it, it wasn't real.
Yeah.
And so I do wish I did that differently, that I had let these other kids that loved him the way that we loved him talk about him. But the more you know.
Hindsight's 2020. You don't know what you're doing.
Right.
I mean, you're going through it just like everybody is.
And I think people were trying to be really careful, like walking on eggshells. They didn't really know. I remember coming back from it was like a 2-week break that we took essentially, from like seeing people and whatever. And they were hosting all these big events for him, like fundraisers and putting on like scholarship stuff and whatever, because he was still in high school. And I remember coming back to a soccer practice, like after everything had happened, and like nobody wanted to talk. And I'm like, I just want everyone to treat me like I'm normal and that like nothing happened. Can like we just pretend like nothing happened? But that was hard for people. And then people also didn't know if I needed that or if I needed to talk to somebody. And so, but as a child, like as a teenager, you don't know what you want or need either.
That's like, I get it though. Like, I lost my sister 2 years ago and the same thing.
How did your sister pass?
She was born with like some, I don't know what the medical term is called, but it's like where her brain would fill up with fluid and it would like make her like brain swell or something.
Oh.
So she had to have a shunt placed in there and drain the fluid out into like wherever in her body. Her shunt failed. She went to the hospital and yeah, ended up dying from it.
How old was she?
29.
Holy crap.
Just had a 6-week old baby, 4 kids,
Oh
all
my
under 5 years
gosh.
old. Yeah. So, but it's one of those things too where it's like, yeah, like it's hard because when that happens, and maybe it's the same for you, like I needed my time to process things, but I still needed a community to be around. But it's not necessarily like I wanted to like be around the community blabbing about all the stuff, right?
Right.
So it's like you almost like downplay it. That's what I did.
Yeah.
So, and maybe in a sense, it's like maybe that's why you didn't talk about it. You're like, again, maybe like downplaying it. Like, you just needed love and support and then people to just treat you normal. Like you said.
Well, and I also think I remember feeling like, what am I supposed to be feeling? Am I supposed to be really like, are people expecting me to be sad? Are people expecting me to like carry on and be happy and joyful? Because I remember it hurting when people would say, wow, you seem like you're okay. And I'm like, well, I'm okay, but like I'm not. So what do you want? How do you want me to act? And I think I remember that being hard, just not really
Making you
knowing.
angry.
Yeah, I yeah, I think I was probably angry for a really long time and didn't know it, and it manifested itself by shutting people out and never talking about things. So,
How's your communication now? Is it better?
about them.
Just like in general, I mean, like it sounds like before it was kind of a tough thing, obviously, to deal with, and so you didn't want to talk about it, right? You talked about how you'd really wished it would just go about like it never happened. So when problems arise now with friends or family or your marriage or anything, is it easier for you just to communicate your feelings, or do you feel like that's something that still is harbored?
Probably more harbored than I think. I'd like to say I'm good at communicating, but I put walls up. I don't know. I guess you'd have to ask everybody else. Ask my
asking you,
husband.
lady.
Ask my husband what he thinks.
Jack, I'm calling you at midnight.
We're gonna phone a friend here.
Yeah. I don't know. I like to think that I can communicate, but I also downplay still things that I'm feeling because I don't feel like I'm always welcomed with the same like intensity that I'm feeling. So like if I'm opening up about something to a spouse, like to my husband or to a sister, and I feel like I'm like at a very vulnerable point of sharing something and I don't feel like I'm being met with like open arms, it's almost worse than if I just didn't say anything at all. I almost feel resentful toward them, but maybe toward myself. Like, why would you get vulnerable? Like, why? Who wants to listen to that? So maybe not so great at communicating.
Is
So
there a time? Oh, go ahead, dude.
how do you like? How do you think people should act in a situation like an outsider? You lost your mom, you lost your brother. In those times, how should people act towards you or towards your siblings or towards your dad? Like, what's I don't know, proper way?
I don't think there is one. I think asking the person, how can I help? Like, what's going to be helpful for you is the only, like, because people, I remember after losing both of them, people would come to me and say, I had a friend lose a sibling or I had a friend lose a parent. Like, what should I do? How do I approach that with them? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, nothing ever helped besides maybe saying, like, I'm just here. I'm here if you want to talk about it. And then listen to them. Let them talk about it. Maybe ask them questions. And I guess it takes some skill, but like read into whether or not they need more from you. You know, like if someone seems pretty shut off to answer questions about them or share memories of them, I guess that takes some like social skill. But there are moments or people that I do want to open up to or talk about the past or find some healing. And if I'm, like I said, if I'm not met with like that same vulnerability, I'm kind of like, well, shoot.
Yeah, the reason I asked is because Jennifer's brother, my brother-in-law, over Christmas, he freaked out on us because he had a miscarriage. This is really bad. Sorry, Kyle, if you're listening to this, I suck. But it was like either a stillborn or a miscarriage, one or the other, and we've never brought it up because it's like, how do you approach that with somebody because you don't know if they're grieving? Do they want to talk about it? Do they not want to talk about it? Do you say like, "Hey, I'm sorry," and it's like that's not enough, or do you like dive deep into that and then they're like, "Well, this is not your business. This is my life," and it was like ultimately it came out that like you've never said anything to us about it is what he said to us. Like you've never even brought him up, and we're like, "Oh yeah, kind of, I get it, but it's."
Well, and I don't think there's any right answer because you hear of moms that want to like, for stillborn scenario, people to like say their name, like say the baby's name, like let that
Yeah.
like memory live on. That's not me.
Maybe that was what it was, stillborn, because that's kind of the same sentiment as they had, is like you've never even like acknowledged that he was a baby.
Yeah.
Like, what?
But like, I don't think that you can't just know the right thing because it's going to be different for each person. So I don't know. I personally wouldn't want people to like be prying and digging, but other people do. So you just have to ask.
I think it goes. I mean, okay, so weird example, maybe not weird, but like weird timing. Braden just lost his mom last week, and I don't think he's told many people, right?
Oh,
But it's the same thing. Like I take the same approach of letting him know that like I can just sit here. We don't have to say anything. I'll just sit here. If you do want to talk about it, I'll talk about it. If you don't want to talk about it, we can talk about nothing. And I think it's probably more it comes back to a support. Like I don't think there is a right or wrong. I mean, I think there's a wrong of just like yeah, like not even acknowledging the fact and like and not that I think it's going to be different for everybody. I mean, for me, like I think I would feel wrong if I didn't acknowledge the fact that like Braden had lost his mom. You know, gave him some time. Like I gave him a couple days before I talked to him, but so he could process it and do the things that you got to do when you lose somebody. But it was cool. Like I mean, I gave him the opportunity to talk, and he showed me a million pictures of his mom, and we talked about it, and he told me all of his memories, and so I just kept asking him questions, and not just because I'm genuinely curious. Like I would like to know, you know. But I don't think everybody communicates the same way I do either. So I think there's going to be comfort levels for everyone. And again, I don't think there's a right or wrong. I think there's for me, but I think for most people, it'd go a long way just to know, like, I mean, so when I lost my sister, lost her, and an hour later, I went to the gym. Like, I don't know what to do. So I just went to the gym. And I remember sitting there and I was stretching and somebody's like, "You off?" I'm like, "My sister just died." Like, I've never even had to tell anybody that.
What did
before.
you want them to say?
Nothing. I just like, I didn't want to hide it, because like, yeah, I am a little off, but I don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah.
I didn't have a great relationship with her too. So, I mean, I'm battling all this stuff. And then my buddy, he's like, "Holy crap. Like what?" I'm like, I guess it just is what it is, you know? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't think they reacted wrong. And to be honest, I can't even remember who that was that asked me that. I think I was just like,
Yeah.
Because I remember I talked to you a couple hours later, and you were pretty just not really stoic, but you're just like, "Yeah, man, I don't really know."
yeah,
I remember that.
it was weird. I mean, it was like,
Do you feel like that's how you deal with like other sad things in your life too?
I think I sit on it. Yeah, probably.
Like how often do you like sit and cry or like have like some really deep emotion when
First-
something bad happens or sad happens?
Now we're digging into
Yeah.
it.
There we go.
There you go, bitch.
I will say, it's funny because like, even talking about your experience, right? And I don't know if you've had an experience like this. I don't think I actually processed that fully, like actually felt those feelings until the fundraiser I did for Brittany and Fatu. Because like the way it all lined up and everything, like, yeah, I cried, but it wasn't like dude, when I did that fundraiser, like I sobbed, which is weird. Like I'm not that person. And not because I try to block that out. I think maybe my brain just doesn't let me go there. Like, don't stop here, and and I can suck it up. Just, nope, stopped. I can even continue to talk about it, but not let myself feel it. But I'm downstairs in my basement. I'm talking to Brittany, and I just picture everything, how this all lined up, how it started for my father-in-law. And then I'm helping a girl named Revy who has medical issues like my sister did, like, which is just crazy. And I just like, yeah, I am like, I think I've told the story a couple times, but I'm like snot balling, like drooling, I think, at this point. And I'm like, holy crap. And my wife, she didn't see me like that, thank goodness. But I think that was the first time I was like, I felt it. And it's not like I think I had to be alone, really. I don't think I could have felt that with anyone. I've never snot balled in front of somebody.
Yeah.
But I think going and letting myself feel that for a greater purpose too was like super healing. And I think even why I kind of started this whole healing journey I think I've been on since that fundraiser.
Do you feel like it's positively impacting other areas of your life?
I think so.
Like what?
I think emotionally, like I want to say maybe I am an emotional person. I have no idea. But I would say I have allowed myself to feel more feelings and not try to immediately fix them. Just know it's just life. Sit in it, allow myself to feel it, process it, I guess. And then being able to connect with other people, like trauma wise. And I don't even know, we've talked about this before too, where it's like, I kind of hate the word trauma. Cause like, I guess I like associated that word with like, you got
problems.
yeah, like you got beat as a child and like bled on your kitchen floor from your dad beating you up. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I thought, I don't know. But so I have a hard time using that word, but I think it's the only way to describe it. So it's the word I use. But yeah, I think going through all that and being able to connect with other people now on a healing level that I'd never experienced before was, I think, super good for my relationships with other people. Because I think everybody, there's I read this, I don't know what book it was. I talk about a freaking book on here every time, but it was Buddha, right? And this person was grieving because she lost her son and came to Buddha and was like, "Hey, can you help me with this? Like, help something around like bring back my son or something like that, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, I can help you, but I need you to go into town. I need to go find mustard seeds from people and bring them back to me." She's like, "Oh, I can do that." And as she's leaving, it's like, "Oh, one last thing, like there has to be zero loss in this family." So they couldn't have lost a friend, a family member, or a servant. Went around the town, every single person she talked to had dealt with loss, and it healed her, right? She came back. She's like, I get it now. It's like knowing that like you connect with people on a like you're not unique in the fact that like everybody's experienced something like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've heard that story before. I don't know if it was from you or if I read that book or whatever.
I probably botched it. I've only read it one time. So
Well, I remember the story, so
yeah.
well enough for that.
It's a good lesson. I think a lot of the stuff that you go through, especially like communication wise, is like going back to like what Tommy was saying about like how do you go about somebody that's gone through stuff before is like I was taught this thing called like the 3 H's. And the 3 H's is like it's more of like I guess a relationship thing, but you can kind of put it towards any type of connection you have with somebody that's going through something. And essentially like 3 H's is just going through saying that like the first H could be do you just need me to hear you? Or the other one could be do you need me to hug you? Or do you need me to help you? And like I guess that's just a good way that I try and approach things like if I have somebody that's close to me and I want to have that I at least acknowledge like with Braden's things, just keep the 3 H's in mind of like I don't really necessarily have to go into it knowing you're gonna need something from me, but as long as you know that I can keep the 3 H's in mind, that I can do any of these for you as long as you want me to. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of feel like that's the way I would want to be approached, you know what I mean? Where at least I'm just being acknowledged because you're right. It'd be tough if something happened in your life and you're like, why didn't my best friend or why didn't my circle say something? I think that would make me more upset to be like, wow, I'm kind of alone instead of just being like, hey, I see what you're going through. I'm here. And then just let it be until I come to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like that's a pretty good way to put it.
I think it's solid, but I do think it's too. It's like once you realize that too, as I even think about this too, even like your situation, Tommy, is I don't think it's appropriate for somebody to like come at you like that either. Like
No.
that's weird.
Yeah, that's not right for them to be
Like-
like, you didn't?
Like that's very. I'm sorry. Like maybe he is listening to this, but as your friend that I don't know, like stop playing the victim.
Right.
Like that's just what it is. It sucks to say, but everybody could be a victim in their own life if they wanted to be. And if you choose to take that negatively, which everybody gets to experience that same thing, not the exact same thing, but some form of loss. If you're going to play victim, yeah, then we could do the same to you. Is that what you want? You
Yeah,
know, like
sure.
It's kind of like he's for, and the same thing. It's not like we're talking trash here, but you're basically vocalizing a type of energy that could be used for a much better cause. If you were just to react some a different way and be like, hey man, this is how I feel because of something you didn't do. This is how I'm taking it, and I want to get better from it with you instead of being like, you're a dick, So
or ask for help.
it's better energy.
Ask for like, hey, I need to talk to someone about this. I know you would. I know Jennifer would.
There was about a lot of energy in that house, in my fist, because it about happened.
Well, you do concrete, so
It was not
it's
going to be a
bad
good
game for everybody
situation.
else.
Jennifer threw a cereal box at him across the room, a plastic one.
Dang,
It was
she
pretty
had
awesome.
it in her.
Nope, it was good.
All right, back to macros a little bit.
Back to Mrs. Macro.
Back to macros. So tell us what you got going on right now with macros. What's going on, chick?
I'm trying to do a lot. So I'm reading that book, 10 times is better than 2 times. Are you reading that?
Yeah.
Did you finish it? You probably already.
No, I'm like halfway.
Oh, okay. You have like a
Yeah,
lot
I've
of
done,
time
like,
on your hands, right?
40.
I'm reading 3 books.
At the same time, I just don't know how you can like absorb the information.
I think I get bored quickly of one book, so I'll read portion and then I'll go read a portion of another. And I'm literally physically reading 3 books
Dang.
and then listening to one that I haven't listened to for probably 2 weeks. So
Well, that book is like inspiring me to just like take the leap and kind of go get past imposter syndrome and just if this is what I'm wanting out of it, I'm going to have to behave like the person who would be in charge of something like that. So I'm like, what I really want, like my goal is to have like more in-person events and a community built around just confidence. It is nutrition, it is macros, but what I'm wanting is to help mostly women. Like there are men in my challenges and I've coached men, but a lot of it is moms and postpartum and pregnant and just women who are trying to find like themselves again and their confidence. And I want to build a community around that. So these like in-person events that I'm trying to host, I just want to get more moms together to see like, hey, if I can do it, you can do it too. So yeah, right now I am spending more time like writing my goals down, which I've never done before, um, and putting them out there. Like when I say I'm going to do something on Instagram, I really never done that, mostly because I've been scared like people won't show up or people will think it's a dumb idea. But this book is like really inspiring me to just do it and show up. And then if people show up, that's the people I want to be around. That's the community I'm trying to build. I'll attract the right people if I'm staying true to what I'm wanting to do or trying to get out of it. So, yeah, right now I'm just planning a lot of like in-person events, doing group challenges. Yeah, a lot of just community style stuff.
How many's in your group right now? You got a group going right now?
Yeah, there's 72 people, which
Dear hell.
yeah, that's a big deal for me. I
That's cool.
normally, I mean, even right now, I'm kind of like, yeah, it's all right. Compared to it can always get bigger and better. But I told my husband, I was like, I will be because my first challenge, I had like 30 people and I was pumped about that. But I was like, I'm going to set a goal for 50. I'm going to write it down. And there's not a lot I can do besides just like putting it out there and posting and continuing to share content so that people think they can trust me. But I was like, I'm going to, write it down that like 50 is my goal. And when I hit 50, I was like, I can't believe it because people were still signing up for like over a week span. And by the end, it was 72. And I was like, holy crap. It was one of those moments, like I had posted the other day about the ruck walk, the challenge, getting that many people. It was one of those moments where I'm like, I can do this. Like, I'm capable of leading something that is valuable and important. And I've just had a few moments like that recently that make me want to really carry Ray Macros forward.
That's awesome. That reminds me, I sent Devin I might have sent you that too, but I sent Devin for sure Jason Kalipa. Have you followed him and see what he does?
I know who that is because of CrossFit, but I don't know what he's doing now.
Yeah, so I don't know if he really does much with CrossFit anymore, like the name brand CrossFit, but he does I don't know, I call it like a breakfast club, but for men. He says like same type of thing, like women could totally join. We won't shoot for
Discriminate?
it, but it's like made for men to make men men.
Yeah.
And so they go at like 6 o'clock in the morning or whatever, and they go do a workout, and it could be like in a park or wherever at his house or whatever it is. And then after that, they go grab coffee or a drink or whatever, like where you drink in a cafe or wherever it's at, and just talk. And it could be about anything. And then so he's grown this group, and I don't know how big it is. I mean, some of his photos look like it's probably like 30, 40 dudes in a circle working out, whatever. And so that reminds me of that, like just growing your group to that, to where it's building these people up. I think it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and I think in the female community, it's hard sometimes because you get like two sides of people. So I was just telling a friend this that some of the girls like in my neighborhood, and I don't want to like out my ward either, but like some of the girls in my ward and my neighborhood that I thought were really like good friends that are doing some of the same lifestyle things that I'm putting out there, like ruck walking, walking with a weight vest. None of them showed up for my ruck walk. But then I've got this other community that like I'm not day-to-day friends with that are showing up for me, supporting me, sharing my stuff, reaching out and saying like, "Thank you so much. This has really helped me postpartum or connect with other friends." Or in the last challenge, I actually like paired people up and some of them became really good friends. But my point being, when you're doing that, when you're creating these groups, I think you also have to be willing to be okay with some people not supporting you close by, but that's how you're finding like your real village, like your real people, at least in that topic. And it's going to be far more impactful getting people like that who want to be there and who want to support me or support each other than to like beg people to come and show up. And that's why I've been more and more okay with, I mean, I've gotten good turnouts, but I've been more okay with, okay, I'm going to just put this out there. Like the ruck walk, for example. I'm like, what if like nobody shows up? And my husband was like, well, the people that show up for you want to be there, or they want the message that you're putting out to impact their life. So if that's 5 people, then good job. And if that's one person, then good job. So I'm also having to grasp that a lot of, even if it's a small group compared to like what maybe other people on Instagram are doing or putting on, that it's still impacting people, if not impacting just me, because it has impacted me a lot.
Isn't it crazy that it seems like that's such a norm that like your closest family and friends are always the ones that never don't very much show support. It's always anonymous. It's always just the acquaintances. Why is it a thing? I need the answer.
I'm on a similar brainwave here because I'm like,
It's
I noticed
always
that.
that way.
yeah,
It's so sketchy.
I don't understand. Yeah, the ones that like, as you succeed, don't support it. And I experienced the same thing even in my fundraiser. Same thing, which is weird because people I thought that I'm like, oh man, they'll for sure. Like, and I try not to keep tabs on like people that did or did not donate because everyone's in a different situation, right? But at the same time, I'm like, I know you have $5. My favorite donation last year was $4.71,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
and so it's like just funny. I don't know. I don't know what those answers are. I think it comes down to as you grow, the people that you are around now, you will inevitably outgrow, and they got you to where you are now. You are going to take you to where you want to be, and you are going to find the people that support that along the way.
That's hard for me though. That's hard for me to like let go of those people. Like I think it's an aspect of letting go of control. So I think maybe that's why I struggle with it. But I just like I feel like I'm leaving people behind if I do that. Like I've been left behind. And I don't say like I've been left behind intentionally, but when you like lose a parent or a sibling, you feel like you're getting abandoned. And so I try really hard not to do that. People in my life.
But you can't hold yourself back either. I mean, that's one of those things. Is like,
but I can.
I think about this as like almost, I don't, and again, back to your guys, both of your points that like the people that are closest to us sometimes hold us down the most. And I kind of, I don't know, like I've thought a lot about Devin's fundraiser and like what he's doing. And I've told him like, we'll help you no matter what, however it is, money, like volunteering, whatever. And it's funny because I've only known Devin since Fatu's and the Moala fundraiser. And then same with Bergeron. And it's like, we were never close. And then it's like, yeah, we'll help you out no matter what. But I also find joy, or not just joy, but like peace and I don't know, prosperity and everything coming from helping other people up rather than pushing them down. Like I think about this, like in my mind, a tar pit or like, and there's probably a painting out there and I think, but I may not depict this, but like, or that may not mean this, but like hands are reaching up like out of this tar and like wanting to grab you and pull you back in because that's the comfort level or that's their zone. And that's what it makes me think of is when you talk about like the people that are in your neighborhood or whatever. And I personally think that people do this out of like fear that they're going to get left behind or that you're going to shine more than they are. And so they're like, they want to pull you back down into that tar pit instead of being on top of that mountain and grabbing your hand and like pulling you to the top and being like, let's go, let's get you to higher. Like, because if you get higher, they get higher.
Mhm.
And like you elevate each other. And it pisses me off that like people don't see this and they don't realize like if you stop being a dick and pushing people down to make yourself look better, ultimately you're going to look better.
I think there's a quote. I think it's from General Conference, but it's
They didn't say dick, I bet.
No.
they said Johnson.
The quote is elevate or tearing others down does not elevate your own standing. And it's true. And what's funny is I can like recount specific people who have made me feel like they're pulling me higher and specific people who have made me feel like they're pulling me down. And so even if their action is no action, it has an impact on the person who's on the other end of that. Agree with that.
There's like two analogies that cross my mind. It's like the tar pit one is like, I've heard it, crabs in a bucket. When one crab's about to get
yeah.
out of the bucket, pull it back in. And then did you just get stung by a bee?
No, it just flew in my face though.
And then the other one that I think about that I've even got on my dream board, right? All ships rise with the tide. So as the tide goes up, and that's how the reason I put that on my dream board is because as I rise, I want everybody around me to rise too. Or as other people rise, if I am supporting them, I hope I get elevated in the process.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I have to be like, I'm not I realize like I'm not this being of just I'm going to be able to make this happen for everyone. But as long as we're all together and we're all supporting each other, at some point it is only going to help everyone. So I think it comes down to like scarcity mindset or abundance mindset. You know, since McKinley is doing this, well, I can't support her, and I'm not necessarily doing that either, but I can't support her because that's what I want to do.
Well, and I can think of somebody very specific. But I'm not going to even say what our connections are.
Say it.
No.
Say it.
No.
Just drop it.
No.
Is it
'cause you know-
something?
yeah, don't.
Yeah, okay.
Really,
I'm saying
please don't.
I
Okay.
ain't saying nothing.
That if it's not their idea or if they're not the one that's in charge of it or getting some form of attention to it, they don't want to be a part of it.
I know.
That same person didn't donate to my fundraiser.
It's just crazy that, or yeah, like even if it's I come there with my idea, it has to be turned so that the attention is on them or financially they get the benefit or whatever.
Some clout.
So I can think of people.
But if they realize that if they were to help you in one way, another, shape, form, whatever it is, like it's probably going to turn around tenfold.
100%.
Yeah, and that's
off of recommendations to wherever, off of recommendations to that person, off of doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
but instead they don't, and so you're like, I'm not gonna recommend people.
just
I'm
interesting.
not gonna whatever.
Yeah, because just like Devin's analogy, on my vision board, the one I have is it's just like it's a bunch of people, and you can't see any of their faces, but it's just a bunch of people with umbrellas. It's all black and white. And then like further in the crowd, there's one umbrella that's a little bit higher, and it's a rainbow. No specifics there. Not into that, but it's a rainbow, and it's higher than the rest. And essentially, basically, it's just like, in my analogy, in my head, I put it on my vision board because it shows that like even though I'm holding an umbrella and it's a little bit higher, it's still an umbrella like everybody else's. The only difference is that mine's different because I still have the same problems. I still have the same mindsets that other people have, but I'm trying to get to a different level. Doesn't mean that I'm better. It doesn't mean that I'm doing things that other people can't do. Doesn't mean that my goals are cooler than yours. None of that. It just means that I'm trying to make myself higher, but I need the people around me to do the same thing, right? And those are the umbrellas around me. Doesn't just because they're below me doesn't mean I'm better than them. And I just don't understand that. Like, don't understand that type of perspective where people don't see the quote of like, isn't it cliche? It's like, surround yourself for the people that are going to make you better. It's like, okay, well then I'm going to walk in here with a great idea for you or that I have for myself. And then I heard it over the weekend about this podcast. I'm not going to name call anything, but I heard somebody and they're like, oh, you listen to their podcast? And they were like, yeah, it's so cool. And they were like, yeah, if it makes it. And I was like, I just had to bite my tongue.
Don't you feel like that roots from insecurity?
Yeah.
I feel like people do that because they're insecure with themselves or unhappy with. So I didn't sign up for the known, but I wish I had. I'll put that out there because the questions that you asked in that first email when you put out like, hey, can people just ask or answer some of these questions? Those questions are the reason like I shifted my mindset drastically into like, if I'm not happy with where I'm at, I'm going to change it. And I'm going to start surrounding myself with people that are going to help me get there. And I mean, it was, I don't even remember what some of the questions were. I just remember my mindset changing a lot. But I feel like when I sat in that place of not really happy with where I was at or where I was going, it's hard to be happy for other people when they're thriving and putting themselves out there and doing hard things. So in a sense, I understand why people act that way, but I also just want to be like, well, then get over it and do it yourself. If that's something you want, then do it and stop making other people feel like their idea is silly or that they're doing too much. Like I've had people make me feel like, oh, you went back too soon postpartum. Oh, you're lifting too heavy too soon postpartum. Oh, you post too much on social media even though you don't have a big following. And it's like, and how does that affect your life?
Yeah.
Like I'm only doing things that are trying to get me to where I want to be. But people always have something to say.
It is funny. Like even the social media aspect of it too was like even the post I did today, right? Like I like to work out, so I made a workout post, knowing full well that it will likely land with 4 people, right? Like if I made a video based on the $1 dream or giving money, I know it will go see way more viewers and get way more attention. But I'm like, I'm not necessarily just doing that for this, right? Like, yeah, I hope it promotes that, but at the same time, like, I still want to do the things I like to do, and that's posting funny, weird videos that come to my mind. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I'd like to look at myself doing a muscle up.
So you need to watch the video I shared today. I did like a little, like I posted the video and then like the heart that has like the healing, like the Band-Aid over it.
I think I did watch that.
Okay, it's this guy talking and he's essentially like he had just like been in like a therapy session, I think.
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah, and he's just saying like he was looking at himself as a little boy, like he had this image in his mind. But you just made me realize, like you just made me think of that and how you're still going to do things that make you true to who you are. I think I struggle with that because I think one, trying to figure out who am I. I think a lot of like myself was lost after losing my mom and Tucker because there wasn't really room to still be a child. Like we kind of had to grow up pretty fast. And I missed out on a lot of like the things that you learn about yourself as a child that make you who you are and that make you funny and whatever. And so, and then you have babies and I'm sure dads go through it too, but I know moms go through this like identity crisis. My whole life is spent right now serving these like little children and my day is filled with that, and there's not a lot of time cut out for you to find, like, what you're passionate about, what you like, and that can be hard because then you're like, sometimes at the end of the night, I'm like, "What do I like?" I don't even like, what do I think is funny? But I'm grateful for things like CrossFit or things that get me out of the house without my kids that connect me with people, and I realize, like, I connect with different people now than I would have maybe 10 years ago, and I think that's just because I've evolved, but I think I'm finally finding, like, myself by connecting with people that I don't know how to explain it, like, that I enjoy being around, and it's helping me identify, like, this is kind of who I am deep down rather than I'm supposed to like someone who's XYZ. And I think sometimes I don't want to like throw the church out there, but like sometimes we're kind of expected in the church to like XYZ and to be friends with XYZ. But like I just feel like scenarios like CrossFit or I can't think of other things right now that pull me out of that where I'm exposed to a variety of people. I'm drawn to people that like deep down make me feel like more like myself. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
So you're finding sounds like you're finding a better balance
Yeah.
rather than just being a mom.
Yeah.
'Cause I know you love being a mom, but it's like you need you.
Yeah.
You need
But
your-
sometimes I'm like, who is that?
I don't think you're ever gonna really. We've talked a lot.
I have something. I have something for you.
Should have drawn the known group.
Yeah.
I
tried to get-
I know. I'm sorry.
Dude, I don't blame you.
I was scared.
Your reasoning was good.
I was really scared.
But it sounds like even just the questions that you just reached on with Dev in the very beginning even helped.
I know.
So it's like
You're not the first person that's told me that because I've had multiple people come up and be like, the 25 questions you sent me. One, I had one girl tell me she answered the first 5 and then booked herself into therapy.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit.
No.
And,
No, really. Like I feel like that's probably where I realized I need to go back to therapy. It was just like I'm avoiding things that I don't need to avoid. I'm an adult. It's time.
I think it's hard to like. I've been to multiple therapists, and for other reasons, right? Like I typically go through a period of time where I'm like, hey, I would like to figure this out. I'm in a place where I feel like I can, and then there's times that I'm not. Like right now, I'm not in any sort of therapy. Probably one because I can't afford it, but like I think it comes down as like, all right, like if I get to another point in my road that I need to like be heard or like have someone look at this scenario and help me figure it out or heal or prepare or whatever it is. Cause I mean, I booked myself into therapy once for like when Jordan's dad got cancer. And I'm like, I just need to be ready. Make sure that my mind is right. Make sure that I am processing this and then also helping my wife and, you know, like through everything, you know, cause at the same time where we had also just like religiously changed our views, you know, like, and it wasn't just, but like that still plays in, you know, this piece of like, I think I let that affect me too. I made my choice and I wanted Jordan to make hers. And so I did therapy for that as well, where I was like, how do I make sure I am supporting my wife and what she wants, still being open about who I am and not pushing her to be who I am as well. But
But you also have to evolve together, right?
Yeah.
So do you feel like say that you chose to stay true to yourself and then Jordan chose to stay true to herself and they were very different, then what? Like,
And
then
what
what?
happened?
Yeah, then what happens? Because that's your spouse.
Bye.
I'm asking you. You say bye?
I don't know. I mean, if I'm being honest, that's what I told her. I'm like, I love you enough to let you be who you want to be, you know, like, and I think I love anybody that way. Like, I'm not going to try to change you to someone you aren't. I would rather change someone to who they are.
Mhm.
That's even what I told Jordan. I'm like, as we went through this process, I was like, I'm going to ask you some questions and you just be open about them. Like, there's no right or wrong answer, it just is what it is. And as we dove down these questions together, it was like, okay, like I was a lot like, I mean, everything I had been taught growing up was very different than what happened, you know, even in that process. And so it was very eye opening for me to know, like, okay, like it seemed crazy because at the time I thought I was giving up everything, eternal life, my children, anything, any possibility of ever having something better after I die.
So let's kind of go back to you probably did what we've talked about before and you made it way worse than it ended up being.
What do you mean?
Just like the conversation with her, being fearful. Like at the end, when you guys got through it, it wasn't as bad as you played it up to be.
I mean, yeah, because I mean, I was told that like maybe it's different where you grew up, right? But like here, I felt like I was told like, oh, if you leave this religion, you you're justifying sinning. You are you don't know true joy. Like you'll do these blah blah blah. Like you're truly not happy. How are you going to be with your family? And I'm not saying like I do not say this in any way to like offend anyone. It's just my own belief of my own feelings, and I'm like, I don't believe that. I don't believe we're getting into it now. I can feel it in my heart right here. I do not believe if you are God, I'm not going to tell you if I want to be with my son forever, that I have to do this. And guess what? It's all actually a secret. It's not something you're born with. It's not something, like it's man made, right? It's still made by man. So I mean, I remember asking my dad. My dad's the most religious person I know. I was like, do you really think God doesn't want me to be with you forever? And if I decide not to be part of this, he's going to prevent that from happening. And I just look at him. And that's even what I asked Jordan. Like, do you really think that? Because if I was God, I would not do that. I'd give you 40 million ways to get back to me. So my analogy for God and all of that is a mountain. There's a million ways to climb a mountain. You're all headed to the same point. So whether that's the hardest way, whether that's around the mountain 40 times, whether that's one straight shot, whether that's weaving, there's a million different ways to get there. We're all headed the same place. That's what I believe. That's my belief. I do believe there's stuff after this. And I don't believe God's going to be like, do you know the secret? You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a hard time thinking if there is a God, that's what I'm going, that's what I'm returning to.
That makes sense.
So yeah.
It kind of went through the same thing. Like right when I was leaving high school, before I went to college, there was like my family is like not very religious, but we grew up different. Like there was LDS in our community. My principal all through high school was LDS. I had no freaking clue. I had no idea. I just knew that he was, he's a religious guy. I didn't know what it was or, like people just didn't care like they care down here. But I remember there was one day that we were in high school and he would always kind of push a little bit. I'm like, well, what are you going to do this weekend? Are you going to go to church with the family? I was like, they don't go to church. But I had gone through some stuff with my mom leaving. And so I needed an outlet. So I tried church by myself in high school for it was like 6 months. And I just go by myself. And I stopped going because I kind of got the perspective, like you said, with the mountain, that I was really just trying to understand that do I have to be in this 30 by 40 space for me to believe. And I remember one time I went up to this lake in it's in Darby. It's in Trapper Peak. It's like 10,000 feet and it's called Baker Lake. One of the most beautiful places I've ever been. And it was on a Sunday. And I remember I had basketball practice the next day at like 5 a.m. My principal, who was LDS, was the coach. And I remember him saying the same thing. I remember being up there and just having thoughts that I feel like I never really had of clarity for going to college for football and what my mom was doing that I was just so upset about and all of these things. And I don't know why it clicked. And it's funny because this is kind of a viral thing I've saw lately where I went to the 5 a.m. basketball practice and he was like, "Oh, did you have a good weekend?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Did you sup with your family?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did." And he's like, "Did you go to church?" And I was like, "Nope." He's like, "Oh, well, man, God really must have missed you." And I was like, I remember looking at him because I had just taken a hike the day before. I remember looking at it was the first time I ever barked at my coach. And I was like, "You should have shown what God showed me yesterday." And he was like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, I showed him a picture of where I was. And he's like, "Oh, that's really beautiful." And I was like, "Yeah, it was really cool." And from that point forward, he never asked me again. And I don't know if it like was just me being a shithead to him and just like kind of acknowledging like, oh, he doesn't like that, or if it was me just kind of being like, hey, I don't have to follow by your rules. You know what I mean? For me to really be accepted by you or something. But it was just like, I don't know, kind of just me finding me. And I think from ever since then, I really love the people that are like, I don't have to go dressed up and go somewhere for me to feel what I believe in. And it could be the same thing you believe in, going to church. But I could go out and I could sit in the backyard with my kids on a Sunday morning and I could watch them run through the sprinkler and just watch them smile. And I could watch them be happy and I could hear their giggles and just close my eyes in that moment and be like, this is church. This is exactly where I need to be. I'm totally honed in on what life is. So I feel like it's just perspective, you know.
I think there's a lot of perspective. Everything it comes down like as this journey as you discover who you are and what you want. A lot of it is asking yourself the questions and being able to actually ask them, right? Even going back to a religious thing, back to Joe Smith, right? The same dude that created the religion I raised in, raised a religion off of questions, right? That he was also told were bad. So why are we not allowed to do the same for ourselves? Why can I not question these things? Why am I not allowed to like dive into something that there actually is no answer to and nobody has it? Like, I'm still going to ask it. I'm still going to wonder. I'm still going to do these things. And I don't know if it's just who I am or what the way I was raised, but I've always had a problem with people telling me what to do and believe. So I'm like, I want to experience this journey myself, not through you, you know? So I'm going to do my life as my heart tells me to. Whether it's right or wrong, I'm going to figure that out. I promise you, I'm going to figure something out, whether it was right or wrong. But there's no, I mean, it goes back to this analogy of like, which is stupid, but maybe the golden rod, right? Oh, hold on to the rod. You close your eyes, you can hold on to the rod. I'm like, no, but I want to see it. I want to see it all. I want to go experience the mountain. I want to go experience everything else. I want to feel hurt. I want to feel happy. I want to feel need and support and all these other things that if I just held on to one thing and just never opened my eyes, what was the point? I don't know.
Does this resonate with you?
Yeah, I'm listening.
What do you think? I take this into my life, like moving from Boise over to this side of the state, and like my kids are different kids, not different kids. Like it wasn't like they were banging over there or whatever and smoking dope and doing all the crazy shit the kids are doing there. But like what is your take, all of you guys, what is your take on like the LDS population community here? And even if you do or don't believe or whatever, like what is your take on that and impact of life?
I think like morals.
Just impact, period. Like it could be morals, it could be like work, it could be, I don't know. Is the weather better here? Does God like this place more because
Oh, it's windy all the time. Shit.
it's windy everywhere? I will tell you that.
I think like when I think like differences in life, and maybe I'm answering this question completely wrong. You know, people say like, oh, the morals that they teach, like they're good. Like I'm not saying they're bad. I think there's some good things, but I also think it's capped. I think there's a point where you stop progressing. Then there's a point where it's like you can't question, you can't grow, and like they say you can, but can you really? Like, I mean, I was in deep at a point in my life. Like I worked in the temple.
Like grow, you mean like grow as like as a kid, like experience? Or what do you mean?
Grow as in who I felt like I needed to be and being able to ask myself hard questions and answer them truthfully and experience life. And it was always funny because, you know, even going back to like people saying like Devin left to justify something. you know. And the funniest thing about all of that is like my wife, I mean, she had left too, and she's made sure that she has done 0 things that have gone against anything the religious text has taught her. So she can look at people and tell them, I did it because this is what I believed. I'm not justifying anything. She doesn't drink. She doesn't do drugs. She doesn't have tattoos. She doesn't do anything. She's like, it is because it is who I am. And as much as I wish she would have a tequila with me one time, I can respect the hell out of her because she can look at anyone questioning her for that and be like, you don't get it. And I think it's cool, like, because there are people that don't. I think that's okay. But I think to a point, you can't become, ultimately, I don't feel like there's no one answer for everyone. And I think there's a lot of good that can come from that. You know, there's a lot of people that are, you know, probably need something like that. But I think there's a lot of people that could use that, but then step back from that lens that you look through, I mean, I think regardless of who you are in any religion, you are going to have a lens that you put on and you now look at it through a Christian lens or an Islamic lens or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah.
And you can no longer see this bigger picture and answer questions with more information. The hardest thing about that too, though, is once you take out that lens, it's almost like you can't put it back on. Because, I mean, for me, and I'm not making this up because I've actually like heard other people talk about this too, where it's like, once you've opened the box, you can't put it all back in. Like you understand things, you see things, and you feel things on an entirely different level than you ever had before, and you can't stuff it all back into that box. It's no longer this mold. And I think there's a lot of good that comes from that. There's a lot of hardship that comes from it too, you know, being able to like, because ultimately now I know I don't. I was raised believing I had all the answers. Now I know I don't. And I ultimately believe nobody does. And that's hard in one regard. It's also exciting as hell because I do believe there's something. And I think it's better than anything someone can make up and tell me.
Yeah. I think your question to me, Tommy, because just growing up not being, you know, LDS or anything like that, but always knowing that it's around, is that when I moved down here, like you said, the community around here is just very oriented around it. And like surface level, if you look at it, a lot of it, it was like a couple different things. It was kind of like a test in a way for like my own perspective, because I didn't know. It was kind of a culture shock because I got here and everybody's like, oh, are you? And, you know, one of the first questions my neighbor was, he's like, you member? And I was like, oh, what? What members of what here? What are we joining?
Yeah, Hell's Angels.
I'm like,
See
I
my
don't,
badge
like
on the back?
I've got tattoos. Like, I'll kill people. I don't know. Just kidding.
I do
Yeah. So it was like, I guess for me, like, it was kind of a test on being like, did I do something wrong? You know what I mean? Like, has my whole life kind of been a lie? Am I doing things the right way? I didn't know, right? And so it was a big test for me, and it was something that was really confusing for a little bit because I was like, I don't know, like, am I really an outsider? Or like, that was a big thing, like internal. External, I would say like LDS church and the people in it are like, most of them are really good people. Communities are clean. From everybody's kind of got a lot of the same morals, which then from the outside looking in, obviously, like, you see great neighborhoods, you see kids running around, you see a lot of kids that just have like these cool little groups of dudes and little kids that are selling lemonade and like hanging out. And it's like, I feel like that kind of stuff was just something that, yeah, back home every once in a great while, but I feel like it's so much more here that like my subdivision is just loaded with kids riding bikes. And it reminds me of my childhood. I do feel like every religion has their clique, and I feel like this one's no different. And it's not any type of bash by any means, because like you look at Catholics and what the popes are always accused of, and then I mean, like, everybody has it's all in some sense bad, but when it comes down to as a whole, it's really, really, really good. Yeah, I just kind of think that it's one of those cliche things where there's just a couple bad eggs that make it bad for the rest of everybody else, you know? So it's kind of like I think altogether, man, just getting here. But
Question.
Well, hold on. McKinley didn't have a chance to answer it.
I can tell she's a sponge right now.
Yeah, she's
I'm
loving
just
this because she's
listening.
not having to talk.
I'm just listening. Go ahead, Devin.
Okay, my question is, right? So like, let go of the eggs, like good eggs, bad eggs, everything,
Uh-huh.
right? Like, They're just people. I think there's good people in every single religion.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like everything, whatever. No religion. At what point does it come down to control?
Control of what?
Yeah, what?
You.
They
religion?
controlling me. I know it. I knew this was.
Oh, I don't know. I can't answer that because I've never been in it.
Anything, though,
I've
it's
kinda
like-
been like,
As I open whatever these questions are.
once we open it, we can't.
McKinley,
We can't
Yeah.
shut it.
Monkey's out of the bottle.
you're up.
Surprise, mother.
And this is like, I mean, I don't think there's any. I ultimately don't know. I have my own answer to this question, right? At what point does it come down to? I read another book. Okay. It was a sales book and it had nothing to do with religion. And I read this book and it said, if you can sell somebody something based on a promise that you never have to deliver on, you own their soul. And I was like, boom, like that hit me. And I'm like, again, not a religious book. This is just all about sales. When I was like, okay, what's my promise of this religion? And all religions, right? Is a promise they never ultimately have to deliver on because they don't know. We're all alive. I know you don't know. I know you don't know. I know you don't know because we're not there, right? You might have a belief. You might feel deeply about something. You might feel like you've had an answer to a prayer, but ultimately, you still don't know. And I think the fact of like, once I could tell myself that too, like, I don't know, and that's okay. It just is. And so I come back to this control thing, like, diving in, like at what point is control a business? And I mean, even I experienced the light and dark in myself of business, even doing fundraisers, where I'm like, I want to help all these people, I want to do this stuff. But then at some point, I want to make money too, And so it's like, where's the good? Where's the bad? Where's the right? Where's the wrong? Once it turns into this business, is it like I feel like you fight that as a human. And I think the second you can admit that, it's almost freeing because I can say this openly and be like, it feels weird to navigate that, but I'm not hiding it. And so at what point does religion come down to control? What point does it come down to money?
I don't know. Probably a lot. Probably more than I really want to know.
I mean, there's a lot of information out there, but
yeah.
And the hard part is like, I don't want people to change what they believe because I believe it. I just want them to think. That is all. Like that's my whole goal with everything, even the known, right? Was I just want you to think, and it had nothing to do with religion, but it had everything to do with you. Like who you are as a human.
So it's kind of like, it doesn't matter really back to like the known for what you're saying. I think it'd be good for everybody to, if you're part of whatever religion, that's totally great by you. But if you just like burn the labels of like what that perspective is, you know what I mean? Like, hey, it doesn't matter what you are. I love you for you. And this is what you believe. That's okay. You know what I'm saying? So like, if you could just burn the labels on being, even the label of saying you're a member, burn that, get rid of that. That doesn't matter. Right.
Yeah.
I like you because you come to the gym and you compete against me. And I love that. I love you because you are great at macros. And I know 100% that you could help me make my stomach flatter. And you're a good person. You're a member. You're not a member. You both bring things to the table to me that are going to make my life better. Yeah. And that doesn't matter. Anything else, the labels could be burned. And that's perspective. Right. I've got a very way off question when we're done with religion. Good though.
I'm waiting for McKinley to pipe in here.
Oh, this one's for her.
I just think that people are very hyperfixated on who's a member, who's not. The labels here, growing up in Seattle, it's not like that. So I have my own beef with how they do it here, but I also have things that I believe that have worked for me after asking questions, going through stuff. But I do think people are so hyperfixated on like, are you a member? Well, who cares?
That doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't. But
Literally the second question I moved here.
Yeah, but that's a culture thing. And that's been hard, I think, moving here after living in Washington and then Arizona and then coming here and that the culture dynamic being like that, where even being a member is kind of like looked down upon from people who have left the church or from people who have negative opinions about it. And I just personally don't believe that. And I think like your relationship with God should be pretty private. I don't think it's like, hey, I need to know everything about what's going on between you and the Lord. And then I'm
Yeah,
going
you
to
do.
view you differently because of that.
He knows.
I do think like worship brings people together. I understand that it also divides people, but that's kind of with everything. Um, and so while I do believe that like your spiritual connection should be private and it can be done in the backyard with your kids or it can be up on a mountain, I think it can also be done in the walls of a church and can feel good there. And for some people, it starts there and then they branch off and are able to, people that maybe were never raised to believe in a God. Serving my mission in Australia, there's people that like didn't even know about Jesus Christ. Like that blows my mind that people didn't know about that or know about him. And so sometimes I feel like organized religion of any kind opens up like education for people or like opportunity to connect with something bigger than themselves, which whether or not it's there after this, I think it helps people live differently and live more selflessly and serve others. And the thing about the LDS church is they're big on serving, they're big on families, they're big on things that do connect people together. So are other churches, and so are people not in the church. It's like yeah, it goes back to just drop the labels. People are obsessed with knowing whether or not you grew up a member and you're not anymore, and are you active or you're tatted but you still go to church. It's like, oh my gosh, if you guys if everyone could just live in Seattle and realize it's just different outside
Yeah.
of Idaho, or I don't know about all of Idaho, but at least Idaho Falls, it's been an experience.
I think you're right because one it like comes down to I guess like going through like being raised, it was so black and white for me. It was this way or it was this way. And I'm like, I think I'm this way, like
Yeah.
the rainbow umbrella.
I'm not. I think you actually said something when I showed you that the first time. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
You're like, why is it rainbow? And I was like,
Is it
hold on
rainbow
a
for a
minute.
reason?
Hold on a minute.
I ain't judging. Something new I didn't know about you.
Yeah, I was surprised. Those weren't good game butt taps.
But I think it's hard because it's like, I think me personally, like, I was doing things for the wrong reasons because it was brownie points in heaven. Because, like, oh, goodness is what I'm supposed to do. And so I'll do it for that rather than now everything I do is because that's how I feel.
And I totally validate that. I also think maybe I just got lucky that my dad didn't raise us with religion at the center of our home. He raised us with like Christ and like our family as the center of our home. And those are very different. And so I've thought for myself since I was a kid. I don't feel like the church has thought for me. And there are things that I don't agree with, but there's a lot of things I do agree with. But just like with any topic in life, like it's the same. And maybe I just got really lucky that I know if I like left the church, my dad would not care. Like that doesn't decrease my value to anyone in my family.
Yeah. I think
That's,
that goes a long ways. I really do.
I mean, I listen to people, including yourself, talk about the impact the church had on you and like leaving. And I'm not saying that leaving isn't a big deal because I'm not stupid. I can like, I see that everywhere you go when people like leave, but it is way more drastic here.
I think it's like, and it's hard too, like as I left, because there's nothing I want to, it's not like I'm trying to drag down in the thing, like burn, like do I have a little bit of resentment? Of course, I think because I do feel like I experienced things that I didn't have to experience because of it, like conditional love from my parents. Something that I struggled with my entire life. Like my dad loved me if I was doing everything I was supposed to be doing. And if I was being a normal kid experiencing life, I was literally Satan in the house, right? Like I mean, I was literally told I brought demons in our house. I'm like, as a child, first of all, that's fucking scary. Like I literally thought that. I used to have nightmares of demons in my room. And I lived in this basement with one little tiny window that
So were you bringing them in?
probably, bro. Like, dude,
Like,
maybe
you
my
have your
house
room.
was haunted, dude.
We were homies.
But like that mind effed me, you know, hard. And then as I left too, like everything I've been taught, like out of all the decisions I've ever made in my entire life, that is the one that I was like, I literally gave up everything, which sounds retarded, you know, because like, but everything I've been taught, I literally gave up any chance of being with my family, feeling love and letting God be in my life. I gave it all up. And that was hard as hell, you know, because I didn't know. I just knew what I felt. I was like, I'm just gonna go with this, I guess. But it opened new ideas and possibilities that didn't exist any other way. And I remember even telling Brittany this, like, she thanked me and blah, blah. You know, we talked about religion, all this stuff. And I'm like, religious me never would have done this. Never. It would have been, I would have questioned my way, like, why am I actually doing this? Like, is it for the brownie points? You know, now it's like, it was literally for the only right reason, you know, help. So,
I think how you were raised contributes a lot to the box that you felt like you were in.
yeah.
And I'm validating that what they put you in a box probably from church things,
Yeah.
but I do think it can be done differently, and it's done differently often.
I think there's just different ways of being raised. Like you said, like what was centered around your home, like the center of our home was religion, right? It was purely religion. My relationship with God existed because of religion. It was religion. It was me, religion, God. You know, my only access to him was through that church. And so later in life, I was like, why can't I just have a relationship with God? Like, why do I have to have this middleman? Why do I have to have this thing that is filtered? You know? And then as that developed, like even my dad, and I have a great relationship with my dad right now. So like this is good, but like I remember him telling me as a kid, he's like, it's God, your mother, and then you kids. That's how it. That sounds so like it actually like pisses me off. It's like at that point, I'm like, I'm no longer who am I important to? Because I mean, I got kicked out of my house for not living religiously. It's not a childhood I would ever look back on. And I didn't experience anything like you did, but it's not a childhood that I look back on and I don't miss anything about my childhood. Zero things. And it's all feeling, it's all emotion, right? And recently I've experienced some of this stuff where I've like broke down to my wife, describing all this to her. I think it like is more serious than I wanted to believe it was. But ultimately with that placement, I was like, this sucks. So I think there's a lot of different ways that you could be religious and still love your freaking kids.
Tommy, your kids are a bit older. I'm curious how you're choosing to raise them, or like what you feel like is important for them to understand or know or connect or what.
This is my show. We ask the questions.
You're just scared to answer it.
No, I was actually just thinking about that kind of with Devin, and how, you know, you could flip the script, and would that be how you were brought up? Like, if you were brought up atheist, like, or satanic, I don't know. It wouldn't be atheist, it'd be satanic. And it'd be like the devil, your mom, then you. Like, you know what I mean? And so I think part of it, I think, is just the teaching that was taught, that was engraved into your brain at that time or whatever. So it was
As
like,
a child.
yeah. Yeah. If you're like, well, you're not that important, like, you know, and I get it. How we raise my children is just let them be. Just let them go. No, I'm just kidding. Just
I'm
out
like,
there,
"Yeah,
out there
okay."
raising hell. No,
1990.
she's out driving. No, I think, I mean, there is part truth to that, of like letting them figure it out. Because when I was 16 years old, no, 17, I think, like I started chewing, I started partying, like in high school, Like we did some pretty crazy shit for kids at 17 years old. Like Friday nights after football games, like we had a dare bowl. It's pretty funny. In Caldwell, we had a dare bowl. So like dare to, the drug cop thing. And so when we played Valley View High School and I went to Caldwell, it was the the Civil War for here, like Bonneville versus Hillcrest or whatever, the big rivals, right? And so whoever won the game got this big dare bowl. And it fit, I think it fit like 7 Coors Lights in it. And then we drank them out of there, which is kind of ironic, the dare bowl.
Oh.
Anyway, so but that was like the childhood. That was like what I was doing in high school. And then after high school, like I wasn't not a member. I didn't get my records withdrawn or whatever, but I wasn't active. And then until like I don't even know, my oldest daughter, I think she was like 2, 3, something like that. And then we went back to church and like because it felt right. Like, but I lived a pretty freaking crazy life between 17 and 23. Those 6 years, like I did a lot of partying. And like I didn't do hard drugs and stuff like that, but like it wasn't like a straight and narrow path lifestyle by any means. And so but I look at those experiences and I look at like what happened during those times and like I probably regret some of them, but at the same time, like I wouldn't know now. I wouldn't know the things I know now if I didn't do those things then. And so I kind of like, not that I want my kids to go out and party and drink and whatever on the weekends, because I think kids are more stupid now than they have ever been. Like I raise my kids that hopefully if my daughter goes and drinks and she gets hammered at a party, she calls me or my wife or whatever. She's open to talking about that. And it's like, yeah, I screwed up or I felt great. Like that was awesome or whatever, I don't know.
The coolest night.
Yeah. But like, for instance, the other day that she told Jennifer I was in St. Louis and Jen called and she was like, so there's more that's coming out about this birthday party. So I called her and I was like, what's up? Apparently there was going to be a birthday party at Palisades for this boy and it was going to be a chaperone birthday. Well, then the actual details came out and it wasn't a chaperone birthday and they were going to be shooting guns and they were going to be doing whatever. And my daughter was like, no, I don't want to go up or I want to go, but I can't. And she'd never pushed the fact. And it was like, but I know she knew like it wasn't right, but she had to make the decision ultimately. Like the other kids were like, we're just going to tell our parents we're going to like whatever and something we could get away with. And she was like, no, I'm not doing that, which makes me feel good as a parent. But at the same time, it's like, I would have given her the rope to hang herself and been like, yeah, I know you did it. For one, you got Life 360 on your phone. And two, like she does listen to this podcast too, by the way.
Sorry about the F words, Dad.
She said you two are the reason for the explicit.
Upstanding.
But anyways, like, you kind of have to give her the rope to hang herself because ultimately she's not going to learn. And I believe full heartedly that like, if you want to go experience life and you want to go smoke dope or you want to go drink or you want to go party and whatever, or go travel and backpack through Europe or like, go do it. Now, I don't mean go like inject heroin, but like go experience life. And if that means that you have to, like Devin's saying, like go experience the things that he wasn't able to experience at that time, like go do it. And that is probably the most like against the LDS religion belief that there is. But that's like kind of how I lived my, I can't say like adolescent, like what would it be like early adulthood? Like that's how I live my life. And so that's kind of like I'm fond of that type of living.
Well, you're teaching her to think for herself. And I think that's really important whether you're in a religion or not. Your parents don't think for you. Religion doesn't think for you. So I think you're doing a really good job.
Hey, thanks.
I think it also comes down to like your relationship with your daughter matters more than anything else.
Right.
Right. And that was not what I experienced. And so I think that's why it was hard for me, but seeing you raise your daughters and whether it is to code or not, the real thing that matters is a relationship, right? I mean, if you look at even inside the church, right? It's your relationship with God, it's your relationship with your families, blah, blah, blah. Like, why has it got to be within parameters? Like, how about the parameter of just being a human? Like, hey, I love you. I want you to be able to. It's the same thing I tell my wife as we raise our kids. I'm like, I'm just going to teach them, right? Like, hey, if you're going to drink, please don't drink and drive. Like
My rule.
Don't, and honestly, like, and I'm not saying you can go drink. I'm not saying you can go have sex or any of these things, but like, if you have a boyfriend, you're going to do it. Like, please don't bring a baby into this world.
Just so.
Yeah,
No.
just Thunder Buddies.
Little
But it's hard. So it was like, not that I want you to like,
I wish that. Oh my gosh, dude! I wish this was on camera.
She's not sunburnt, boys.
but you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's hard because you got to give them like, I feel like you got to give them the information and then let them choose. And whatever they choose, whether you agree with it or not, it's like, I love you. It's the same thing Jesus would do, right? And did.
Yep.
So, I mean, you look at Jesus' entire life, and it was dealing with people
He's a
that
rebel.
were experiencing life. So, it wasn't the people that were teaching all the stuff. Like, he was going against everything that everyone was teaching. So, what would Jesus do?
In the name of Jesus.
If you guys are listening to this and you go look up Devin Hess on Instagram, follow some of the crazy stuff he's doing. It's just Tyler Bergen right on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then mine is Sasha_Tommy. And then you'll find us here and watch the journey as it unfolds, because it'll be a wild ride.
It's going to be.
If I know
this
the
is just
three
the
of us,
beginning.
it's going to be a wild ride.
It's gonna be fun.
This is the coolest part. It's just the beginning. We're just in a basement.